Well, today we are going to finish up the story of Ruth. We know from the first couple of chapters that Naomi and her daughter-in-law Ruth have returned to Naomi's homeland. And as two widows, they are struggling to find their way. They're struggling to provide for themselves. So in desperation, Ruth had ended up working in a field, and it belonged to Boaz. Boaz showed her an incredible level of unexpected kindness in this situation. Well, we pick up here in our final chapters, and we discover that Ruth goes to see Boaz in the night on the threshing floor. Now, I want to talk about the threshing floor for just a minute because it's a significant location. Practically speaking, it's where the harvest was taken to separate the good from the bad, the good wheat from the unhealthy wheat and the weeds. We also know this term from other locations in Scripture, and it's used figuratively. We know that in end times, in judgment times, we hear this phrase again where the good is separated from the bad. Those who love the Lord are separated from those who do not. So it's an important location, both literally and figuratively. And so it's here that Boaz discovers Ruth. He sees her desperation. He sees her sincerity in this situation, and Boaz is determined to help her. In fact, he tries to find another man who might be more suitable than him for Ruth. But when that doesn't pan out, Boaz agrees to marry Ruth. This is significant to be a provider and to carry on that lineage, that family name for both Ruth and Naomi. So the story actually ends with Ruth, who had been barren for 10 years, married to her first husband. She becomes pregnant and she has a son named Obed. Obed would become the father of Jesse, who would then become the father of King David. What a lineage to bring a conclusion to this story of Ruth and Naomi. It's such a sweet gem in the Old Testament. But it's also so much more than this surface level story that we have. We see in the book of Ruth a story of redemption, a story of covenantal love that God has for his people. We know that throughout the Old Testament, the Israelites would love God, they would fall away from God, they would return to God, they would fall away from God. And every time that happened, God would receive them, God would forgive them, God would renew that covenant with God's people. The same is true for us today. No matter our journey, no matter what we go through, no matter what difficult times we endure, no matter what we do, God continues a relationship with us. God continues that covenantal relationship. He redeems us. He forgives us. He claims us as his own. This story also reminds me of one of my favorite scripture verses, Romans 8:28, and it says, "We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." When we read the book of Ruth, we can see God working for good. And I hope that as you look at your own life, you can see God working for good.